The thing is that people just don't follow you because you've got a great idea. You need to create something so that they start being attracted. And that's when I was like, okay, one of the main problem is being able to work and having young children when you're a woman. And that's why I actually created the marketplace where moms can sell their services and their products online. And this way it allows them to earn money on their own terms, instead of being, blocked with the corporate hours and corporate expectations.
Heroes are an inspiring group of people. Every one of them, from the larger-than-life comic book heroes you see on the big silver screen, to everyday heroes that let us live the privileged lives we do. Every hero has a story to tell, from the doctor saving lives at your local hospital, to the war veteran down the street who risked his life for our freedom, to the police officers and the firefighters who risk their safety to ensure ours. Every hero is special and every story worth telling. But there is one class of heroes that I think is often ignored: the entrepreneur, the creator, the producer. The ones who look at the problems in this world and think to themselves, you know what, I can fix that. I can help people. I can make a difference. Then they go out and do exactly that by creating a new product or introducing a new service. Some go on to change the world. Others make a world of difference to their customers. Welcome to The Hero Show. Join us as we pull back the masks on the world's finest heropreneurs and learn the secrets to their powers, their success, and their influence, so you can use those secrets to attract more sales, make more money, and experience more freedom in your business. I'm your host, Richard Matthews, and we are on in 3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome back to The Hero Show. My name is Richard Matthews, and today I have make sure I can get this name correct. It's Oriane Juncker. Is that correct?
That's right.
Awesome. I'm glad I got that right on the first try. But Oriane, thank you so much for coming in and being a part of the Hero Show today. Where are you calling in from?
I'm calling in from Australia, where the weather is pretty amazing and we are pretty excited to be connected to other part of the world because we've been isolated for the past year and a half now.
Yeah, I can imagine. We're in for those of you who are following along with our travels while we're recording this podcast, my wife and I are in Florida right now. And it's raining on us a lot right now because it's apparently hurricane season in Florida. And that's when we decided to come visit, was hurricane season.
Best idea ever.
Yeah. So what I want to do real quick is for my guests who don't know who you are, or for my audience who doesn't know who you are, you're my guest. I'll get my words right eventually. Is do a brief introduction so they know who you are. So Oriane is a highly ambitious and passionate entrepreneur, loving mom of 2 boys with an amazing husband that fits somewhere into your busy life. You were born in France and you currently live in Sydney, Australia, and you started a company named SPOTZ, which is a marketplace for moms to share their products and their services with other moms in the community. Is that sound about right?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Awesome. So what I want to have you do to start off with is tell me a little bit about what it is that you do with SPOTZ and who you do it for and sort of what the main products and services are.
Yep, easy. So I think what is interesting to start with is why I created my business. Initially, so I'm working in the pharmaceutical industry. I work in medical, in neuroscience. So it's an interesting job. I work with in a big corporate, big pharma, and we talk a lot about those pharma at the moment. But when I ended up being pregnant, I suffered from discrimination, and to an extent like we can't imagine really. Like I think it was more out of stupidity that I was suffering the type of comments where, oh, you have to go to your doctor to be allowed to travel beyond 30 weeks that is normally allowed by airlines. So I was asked to travel up to 36 weeks when I was traveling every week initially. And I was like, but I can't do that. Like, seriously, like I look like a whale. I don't fit in the plane anymore. It's just really hard. And then I ended up having problems because I refused to go beyond those allowed 30 weeks by airline. And then I started to also receive comments when I came back from mat leave saying that I didn't deserve promotion or pay rise because I was in hibernation when I was in mat leave. And I was like, what? In hibernation? Seriously? So when you're a mother, yeah, people like corporates consider you a bit of a problem. And I was still paid 30K less than my husband when we finished our studies together. And when we actually did this exactly the same study and started to work in the pharma at the same time, and we're doing the same job, exact same job in the same pharma. And I was like, why is my husband being paid 30K more than I am? So that, that gender equality is not really perfect at the moment in Australia. And I got very frustrated with that. And when I started to talk with my friends, I realized that when we got pregnant, the problem got even bigger. And we were all frustrated and talking, but at some point I was like, I think we need to do something about it. And that's when I had the idea of SPOTZ. And SPOTZ is called SPOTZ because of the spots on the back of the ladybird, because the ladybird is a symbol of freedom in women. And, at some point I was like, okay, so I want to create that community of women who say what they want to see change in the society and has enough power to influence policymakers so that we can create a more mom-friendly society. The thing is that people just don't follow you because you've got a great idea. You need to create something so that they start being attracted. And that's when I was like, okay, one of the main problem is being able to work and having young children when you're a woman. And that's why I actually created the marketplace where moms can sell their services and their products online. And this way it allows them to earn money on their own terms instead of being, blocked with the corporate hours and corporate expectations. So that was the idea. So actually the marketplace right now is sort of an excuse to gather those women so that later on we can be sort of a lobby group and be able to influence our governments. So that's the whole idea of SPOTZ and where it came from.
Yeah, that's an incredible story and like how you started that and got into it. And so you are using SPOTZ as a marketplace for women to help earn an income, right? So they're not, and it's interesting because it's like fits right into the new sort of the way the economy is moving, especially post-pandemic, where more and more people are able to work remotely, and the corporate space is, I would say, almost like losing a lot of power, because people are realizing they don't need to have, and they don't need to be in the same place or work in the same places, and so you're working with moms to show them how to earn an income while they're at home, which is cool. So. Yeah. When it comes to like the breadth of services that your moms and stuff are offering, is it like, craft projects, like the kind of stuff you'd see on Etsy, as well as professional services, or is it like a whole mix of stuff? Do you see it skew one way or the other?
Yeah, so actually it's a bit of a mix of stuff. It's not like Etsy where they're very specialized. Initially, they were specialized in handcraft and vintage. For me, it's whatever moms have to sell, they can sell it on the marketplace because I just want to help them earn money without, any constraint of like, oh no, sorry, you're selling that type of product, you're not allowed. It's more like the mom spirit. So whatever you're selling, you're welcome on the platform. Unless it's, sexual services or anything like that, because we're open-minded, but to a certain extent. So yeah, that's really, try to follow the rules a little bit. To not get spotted straight away. So yeah, I guess it's really to help the community of moms, and I don't mind what they're doing. And that's why we are actually right now developing the service section, because initially when we developed the product, I was like, but that's probably rejecting 50% of other moms who are selling services, coaching, doing consulting or communication services, etc. And that's why I'm developing the other part. So yeah, SPOTZ is a bit of an Etsy-like, a bit more broad, and also with the service on top. And actually, one thing you were talking about with the corporate, the corporate way that is a bit backward almost, and I was always fascinated with Uber. I was just like, this is pretty amazing what they've created, because they've created a new way of thinking, a new way of living. People can actually work whenever they want to instead of having those times they need to fit in. And I really think that is pretty amazing. And I think it was always something in the background. And when I had that idea, I was like, oh, actually, now I understand. It goes into that way of thinking that we need to have some freedom when earning money, and that we don't need to depend on a boss. Because I think, this is a bit of a backward thinking to have the boss paying for you, giving them your life pretty much, or your time. And I really like the fact you can re-empower people so that they can earn money on their own terms.
Yeah. So
that's the whole idea of.
Is the marketplace, has it become international already, or are you guys still mostly in Australia? How's that growth looking?
So we started like really this year in February, and it's now developed in Australia and New Zealand. But the aim is to go very quickly for some funding rounds. And I want to do equity crowdfunding, because it really goes with that mentality of supporting other moms, and that moms are owning the marketplace, and we're kind of, empowered to change our future, owning a part, like a share of SPOTZ. So we're going for a round of equity crowdfunding at the end of the year. And the aim is to go to US actually pretty quickly, and to French countries as well, because it's obviously much easier when you're from the country to understand what the market is like. But yeah, US is a big market because I think there is so much to change. Like when I was reading a bit about, the maternity leave in US, it's just, horrendous. Like, women don't have time with their children. It's pretty much you give birth and you throw your kid in a daycare and you go back to work, and it makes me really sad. And I think there's a lot to change in US, and that's why it's a country I'm really interested in, even if it might be a very difficult one.
Absolutely. So just out of curiosity, if you're so I assume the primary language in Australia is English, and in France it's not, it's French. Are you going to have to figure out how to build the app and the whole services to be translatable when you start moving into countries like France and other places in Europe that don't speak English as their first language?
Yeah, that's going to be a pain, really. I'm pretty well aware of that. But the aim is to go in every country in the world, and I think the way I'll do it is probably have translators translating all the content and also readapting. It's what we do in pharma as well. You have the global strategy coming from global, and then you have to adapt it to your country. It's pretty much what I will do. So yeah, the headquarter will be Australia, and then in other countries you can pretty much, all the content, the videos, the written blog, etc. I think we'll have translators doing all that, and also have a CEO in the country, so who can actually really manage the whole thing in a very French way, because I don't want it to be only a translation of Australia, because I think then it loses its soul, because the whole purpose in each country is going to be different, because it's different regulations, different laws, and people are just having cultural differences, so you need to adapt to that if you want to be successful. Otherwise, if it's just a copy and paste of Australia, it might be not relevant for the country I'm trying to develop in.
Yeah, and it's a really interesting thing to be thinking about at the beginning of your company, is thinking, how do I set this up so it's ready for a global strategy that we're going to be starting really soon? Not everyone's business is that way, where they're starting having to think about the whole global network. So that's it's fascinating that you're starting there and looking and planning to be a global company right from the outset.
Yeah, so I think it might be a bit of a pretentious way of seeing it, but my company was never meant to be only Australian. I was always having a big vision, probably not the best self-confidence to have that big vision, initially, because everything goes back to self-confidence always. But I could only envision SPOTZ being a place for moms of the world to be able to express themselves. So it has to be a strong movement. And if you want to be strong, you must not only just be in one country. So yeah, my vision was always international, and it's much more fun and much more exciting.
Yeah, it's a big vision. So it's, when you gotta shoot for the stars, right? So what I want to talk about then
Exactly.
is your superpowers that you bring to this company, right? So every iconic hero has superpowers, whether that's a fancy flying suit made by their genius intellect, or super strength, or the ability to call down thunder from the sky. Heropreneurs have what I call a zone of genius, right? Which is either a skill or a set of skills that you were born with or you developed over time that you can bring to bear in your market, right? The things that help you slay the villains in your client's world. And the way that I like to think about this is, if you look at all the skills that you've developed over time, you probably have a common thread that ties all those skills together. And that's where you find your superpower. So with that framing, what do you think your superpower is in building and developing this business?
I think everything I hated before, I realized that it's actually my strengths now. It is very funny. Everything I was rejecting, oh, I'll never write. I hate writing. I hate politics. I'll never go into politics. And look what I'm creating. It's sort of a community where I have to write regularly, to talk, to express myself, my ideas. And I will have to go and work with politicians at some point if we want to be able to do what we are planning on doing. So I realized that my strength is actually communication because I have passion. And the fact I'm a bit clumsy as well, sometimes in the way I say things, gives me a bit of like the pure raw persona that people are like, oh, okay, she's not polished and perfect, she's like me. And I think this is my strength because people can relate to me easily, and I am in the truth. Like, I communicate the truth and I don't care what people think. So sometimes I'm a bit too blunt, more especially for Australians or Americans or like the English culture. Like, I'm extremely blunt and people look at me like, whoa, like she's a bit too much. But if I want to change things, that's what I have to be. So yeah, I think it's my way of communicating that is all about saying the truth. I've grown up now. Initially, I was a bit raw and people were a bit shocked when I was saying things. Now I've understood that there is a way of saying what you want to say, and that's making the difference. So yeah, I would say my genius is going to be communication and getting people trying to follow me. And I see it started, to really work, and people are getting, on the journey with me. And initially it was like, it's never going to happen, but I just trust that at some point the universe would align and come with me. So yeah, communication, and also the fact that I have an international background, it allows me as well to have an open mind and to understand all those cultural differences. So it's going to be my strength probably if I want to develop internationally at some point. But also, I think one thing as well is sort of the healer thing, I guess, and the spiritual aspect of my life that can be of interest to people. I realize, like, a lot of people tell me, oh my God, you should be a coach, or, like, you're listening to people, and I grab their problem and very easily I find solutions. Or it's usually people like talking to me and because they can relate, probably. I don't know. It's always been something very easy for me. And the fact I'm quite spiritual, I usually bring a sort of perspective that is different from the very physical type of advice you can get very often with most people. And every time, like, I have friends, they don't call me for 2 years, and when they have a big problem in their lives, I would be the first person they would call. And I was always thinking, that's very weird. It always happens with all my friends. So I think, yeah, it's that vision a bit beyond the barriers of the physical world that is quite attractive as well, too, for some people.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And so if communication is the superpower and you have these goals to be a force sort of in each country that you operate in, you're going to have to work on sort of replicating that into other people who are going to help you run this organization, right? And you're going to have to, like, build people up. Have you already started that? Sort of what's the plan there, and how do you find other people that have the same passion for that you have to grow this, to sort of have that international impact you're looking for?
So I have ideas already of some people I've met who could be the people working in some countries that want to develop in. I haven't told them yet though, so I'm not going to say their names. But I guess it really comes. Let's keep it quiet. But yeah, I think it really comes down to the woman network. It's amazing. Like in Australia, I don't know if it exists in the US, but we have like-minded bitches who drink wine. And it's an amazing network of women, like of bitches, and actually discussing business. And it's really amazing because every time you are looking for someone to hire, you're just saying, hey, I'm looking for blah, 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 blah. And you get like 100 of women replying and just be interested in working with you. And I don't know, straight away when I talk to someone, I just know whether they fit or not with the SPOTZ mentality. And I think sometimes I can't explain, and it's very irrational. It's just an energetic thing. I just feel their energy is going to fit. And it's sometimes it's just about, I meditate on it. Is she the right person to come and join? And I get the answer very quickly. So it's my way of doing. I am sometimes not really relying on the very physical and pragmatic, rational to hire someone. I just meditate and I get a yes or a no. It's very clear, and I just follow that. And some people around me sometimes don't really understand why I do things. And my husband is the first one. It's like, I just don't understand why you're doing it. It's not logical. And I'm like, sometimes you have to follow the heart. And, when I meditate, it's what I see. So it's what I'm going to do. So yeah, now my husband starts understanding my way of working, and he sees that it's proof. So he's getting used to it. But yeah, it's not easy to make people understand that.
Yeah, and it'll have a tremendous impact on your growth, is getting the right people to really help you buy into what you're doing and how you're doing it. So it'll be interesting to see how that impacts your growth as you guys become international and end up in in the US, because I know my wife has a bunch of things that she would love to start offering. Like she's in the process now of, she's just picked up a new skill where she knows she got her first commission like mural, which was super cool, and she got to do that. And I was like, we need to be able to market that, especially as we're traveling the US. Sounds like the SPOTZ would be a great marketplace to be able to do that. So I look forward to seeing your launch in the US.
Yeah, it might be another year though, but yeah, I'm planning on getting there. It's really important for me, the US thing. I don't know why. It was the first country where I was like, I want to go there before France. So yeah, next year, hopefully I'll get there.
It's a huge market. It's one of the biggest markets in the world. So, it's a good place to go.
Exactly, but I will be competing with the headquarter of Etsy, so that will be a tough one. But I see opportunities everywhere. That means people are already used to that type of buying, that type of putting their products on Etsy. So why not joining SPOTZ on the side? It's just it might be an opportunity for me that Etsy is so well implanted in the country already.
Absolutely.
And now, a quick word from our show's sponsor. Hey there, fellow podcaster. Having a weekly audio and video show on all the major online networks that builds your brand, creates fame, and drives sales for your business doesn't have to be hard. I know it feels that way because you've tried managing your show internally and realize how resource intensive it can be. You felt the pain of pouring 8 to 10 hours of work into just getting 1 hour of content published and promoted all over the place. You see the drain on your resources, but you do it anyways because you know how powerful it is. Heck, you've probably even tried some of those automated solutions and ended up with stuff that makes your brand look cheesy and cheap. That's not helping grow your business. Don't give up though. The struggle ends now. Introducing Push Button Podcasts, a done-for-you service that will help you get your show out every single week without you lifting a finger after you've pushed that stop record button. We handle everything else: uploading, editing, transcribing, writing, research, graphics, publication, and promotion, all done by real humans who know, understand, and care about your brand almost as much as you do. Empowered by our own proprietary technology, our team will let you get back to doing what you love while we handle the rest. Check us out at pushbuttonpodcast.com/hero for 10% off the lifetime of your service with us, and see the power of having an audio and video podcast growing and driving micro celebrity status and business in your niche without you having to lift more than a finger to push that stop record button. Again, that's pushbuttonpodcast.com/hero. See you there. And now, back to the Hero Show.
So I want to talk about the flip side then of your superpower. So if your superpower is the communication and the ability to read people's energies and connect like that and do those things, the flip side of that is the fatal flaw, right? So just like every Superman has their kryptonite, or Wonder Woman has her bracelets of victory that she can't remove without going mad, you probably have something you struggled with in your business. For me, it was a couple of things that I struggled with, right? I struggled with perfectionism for a long time, which means I never shipped product. I also struggled with lack of self-care, which really showed up in letting my clients walk all over me and not having good boundaries, and not really letting my time have boundaries and letting my time walk all over me. And those kind of things I had to learn to overcome so I could continue to grow my business. So in your business growth, what is one of the fatal flaws that you've had to struggle through? And how have you, I think more importantly, how have you worked to overcome it so that you can continue to grow?
Self-confidence, without any doubt. I think it comes down to education in France is all about can do better. Like you have 18 out of 20 can do better. Like it's really like I've been raised in those Catholic school, a bit old-fashioned.
Okay, so I wanted to move on a little bit in the conversation and talk a little bit about your mentors, right? And we talk on the show all the time. Every hero has their mentors, just like Frodo had Gandalf, or Luke had Obi-Wan, or Robert Kiyosaki had his rich dad, or even Spider-Man, who had his Uncle Ben. Who were some of your heroes? Were they real-life mentors, speakers, or authors, maybe peers who were a couple of years ahead of you? And how important were they to what you have accomplished in your business so far?
I think one that I really love, it's Greta Thunberg, because she goes beyond the norms. She goes beyond what people think. Imagine, like she's just a kid, and she sat down there in front of the parliament in Stockholm, and just to get, because she was so strong with her idea. I love people who have like such strong purpose and are driven to the core to make it happen. I think they are the people who are going to change the world. And I love those people who have like they don't care what people think about them. Like she just doesn't care at all. She just does what she has to do, what she came here for, and nothing will steer her away from that. And I admire her for that, and I hope I can be that person. Even if obviously there is always that self-confidence piece and the judgment, the fear of judgment from others, that is always going to be a bit of a limit. But when I look at those people who went above and beyond and not caring about what people were saying or the impact it had on their lives, I just admire that. And I think Gandhi was really one of those, like it started before it was in India, it started in Africa, where he was fighting for a cause already, like he was that little lawyer coming from India, and then he realized, I don't remember exactly what the cause was in there, but it was obviously always about racism. And it just stood up. Like suddenly it's like his purpose lightened up, and he was that strong person, and nothing could stop him. And I think it's what I admire, and it's what I intend to become. Like nothing can stop me in my mission to help those women, to empower women for a better world, And yeah, so I would say Greta Thunberg, she is my big idol at the moment.
Awesome. And I love that. I love the idea of just looking at people who have pushed beyond the limits that they are, that people put on them. Right. And Greta Thunberg is absolutely one of those people. And I know she's what do they call it? She's like a divisive force. Not a lot of people agree with what she has to say or how she says it, but she did it anyways. Right. And that's a powerful story. So it's a good place to be and a good person to look up to. So my next question for you is about your guiding principles, right? And it's one of the things that makes heroes heroic is that they live by a code. For instance, Batman never kills his enemies. He only ever puts them in Arkham Asylum. So as we get to the end of this interview, I want to talk about the top one, maybe two principles that you live your life by that really inform how you run SPOTZ.
Yeah, there is one, and I guess it comes down to spirituality. Try to do things with love. Yeah, I think it gives you, like, I believe in karma, and everything you're giving to the world is what you're going to get back. It's just everything is energy in a world, and it's a question of vibration. So if you're sending low vibration to the world, is always there's always a question of balance. If you're sending shit to the world, it's what you're going to get back. And I'm always trying to work from a love space. It's never easy because it's not how I've been raised, and you have that by default setting where you try, to protect yourself sometimes, and that judgment that comes back. But I try to go back to that loving space because it's what's going to be the key to everything for our world. And it looks like a bit of a naive thing. We need to love everyone. No, it's not that. But I think everything you're trying to do has to come from a heart space. And it is something I wanted to say as well with SPOTZ. Every single communication we have with our vendor, like they just like we are communicating always nicely and trying to be, supportive and be there for the moms, and they give it back like 1,000 times. Like this is just my number one rule, and it's what I tell when people start working with me. When you're writing, write with love. It's like it has to be nice, it has to be lovely always, because it's what you're sending to the world, and you have to be very careful with what you're thinking and what you're sending, because it is the world you're creating for yourself. Your thoughts and everything you think is going to be creating your world. So you have to be very, very careful about your thoughts. And judgment, anger is something that you are going to manifest, for yourself as well, if it's what you're throwing out there. So yeah, that's my number one thing, that everything I try to do it from that space. But I have to confess, when I have people who come at you, you're putting your guts on the table, your soul on the table, and you have those people who are writing very aggressively. And I'm like, my first reaction is like, you bitch, like I just go very mad, and I'm like, going back to the loving space. And I have, Ruby is an amazing person I'm working with, and she's a bit older and probably a bit wiser sometimes. And every time she tells me, but like you have to understand her. She's probably writing because like this aggressively because she's homeschooling right right now, and she's overwhelmed, and that's why she's writing those things, and you have to understand where she's coming from. But I'm like, yeah, but she's, you go into that very judgmental and reactive mentality, and I try to step back, and usually I'm like, she's right again, but yeah, so it's going back to that loving space where I'm like, okay, I understand what do you, what type of help and support do you need, instead of like, you bitch, which would be my first reaction. So yeah, I think stepping back and
yeah, sometimes you just have to, so you just have to write the mean response, and then delete it, and then write the write the loving one.
You still need to get it out of your system, otherwise you get frustrated. so yeah, but I have my you beach moment, that is like, like going like that for like half an hour. And I usually, like, one of the big advice I was told in corporate is that never write an email when you're angry. Never. Always wait the day after, because otherwise you send something and you regret it big time. And so I think it's, what I'm trying to apply as well with my business.
Yeah, and I love the idea of operating from a place of love, and that you get back what you give. And I know I went to school as a preacher, right? So I studied the scripture a lot. And one of the things is that that's quoted a lot in is the Sermon on the Mount from Jesus. And he talks about, give first and then you shall receive. And I always thought that people a lot of times think that's like a commandment from God, that first you give, then you receive. And I'm like, I don't think that was a commandment. That's not what he was doing on the Sermon on the Mount. Is he was telling you, this is how the world works, right? This is like the operating system of the earth. And part of that operating system is you get back what you give. And so it's like, so it wasn't a commandment as much as it was, here's how the world works, and, do with that information what you will. So I think, learning to operate from that place of love is a great place to start, because, you're giving back, and you've already said you get it back in your business.
Yeah, and I love the fact you've been a preacher before. It's very original. We don't see that. Studying preaching is not something you see every day. I just love it. But I think there it comes down, like what you're saying, what Jesus was saying is actually one of the universal law, and I base my life on those universal law. And the main one is the law of attraction, and you attract what you're thinking, you attract what you're giving. It's just the law of attraction. Everything works, abide by that law. And I think it's a shame that in our world, people are not being taught those things. So at school, I was taught so much bullshit that I will never use, but I was not taught all those spiritual laws, which are not like binded to any religion or anything. It's just how the universe works. That's how it works. And once you understand it, you can actually work with it and make it work your own way. And the law of attraction, it's also, it actually can go and be used in so many different ways. But one thing is, like, if you think and visualize what you want to manifest, it will manifest, because your thoughts are manifesting in your world, because it's the law of attraction. So if you think enough of your dreams, like, it's going to happen, but you have to believe it. And I can tell you it's happening. So for me, it has always worked, always, and in a way that is just miraculous sometimes. And I think, people should know about those rules, because they are what actually are guiding their lives. And sometimes they just don't understand. You see people saying things, and I'm just like, if you knew about the universal law, you would never say that, and it would probably change your life, But we never taught those things. So
as long as you're pairing the visualization law of attraction with actually going out and doing the work, everything starts working together and really helping you move forward. So that basically brings us to the end of our interview. But I do finish every interview with a simple challenge. I call it the Heroes Challenge, and it is just a way for me to find stories that I might not otherwise find, because not everyone's looking to be out on podcasts. So the question is simple. Do you have someone in your life, in your network, and I imagine you do because of what you do, that has a cool entrepreneurial story? Who are they? First names are fine. And why do you think they should come share their story with us here on The Hero Show?
Priscilla Shand. I would say her, because she's been giving without trying to get anything in return, because she believes in a cause that is similar than mine, that women should have more space in this world, and she created Hire Her, and this is a platform where women hire each other, and I find it pretty cool, and she's helped me above and beyond. And I'm just thinking that's amazing, because she's not even getting any commission on the work she's doing. She's just doing it because she believes women should have more place in this world. And so she's trying to give them she's trying to offer them the stage to be themselves and to exist more in this world. And so I think she would definitely be a person that you want to interview.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll reach out afterwards and maybe see if we can get an introduction to get her on the show. But at the end of any comic book, there's always the crowd of people who are standing and cheering and clapping for the acts of heroism. So analogous to that on this show is, I want to know, where can people find you? Where can they find SPOTZ? How can they join the marketplace? How can they help with the mission? And where can they light up the bat signal, so to speak, right? And say, hey, you know what, Oriane, I would really love to be a part of what you're doing. And I think more important than where it is that they can go is, who are the right types of people to reach out and actually become a part of what you're doing?
Easy. My platform is spots.com.au, SPOTZ, SPOTZ. And we're on social media at SPOTZ for Moms, and so Facebook and Instagram. And there is a way, like an email and contact details, where you can reach out to me on the platform. And you're most welcome to join as a vendor or as a mom who want to bring content, whether it's video content, which we will do very soon on social media, or whether it's written content on the blog series, which we release every month. So yeah, there's multiple ways, and you know what, we're very open to ideas. So if you think that my platform could actually integrate some of your idea of developing a course to help women or anything, you know what, come up with that idea, write me an email, and I'll be very happy to actually integrate you if your idea fits the general SPOTZ idea. And it's what things have been happening like that. People came to me and I was like, I don't know what I can do, like what we can do together. But if you leave the door open, it's amazing. Like, you realize people come to you and they don't even know why they're coming. And you're just wondering what the hell they're doing here. And there's always something amazing that comes out of it. And so, yeah, don't hesitate to reach out. Even if you don't know why, we'll find a way to probably work together. Because if you feel you have to reach out, it means you have to. And there's something that's going to happen out of it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story and the story of SPOTZ with our audience. I really appreciate it. And we'll definitely make sure that the links to SPOTZ are in the description below this episode. So if you are interested in getting on and becoming a vendor, and just since most of my audience is in the US right now, I know do you guys have like a waiting list or anything, or notification list for when you guys are going to be launching in a few different other countries that they can check out?
Yeah, so they actually can reach out to hello@spots.com.au and tell us if they want to join when we launch, because yeah, I keep a list, and we're going to reach out to everyone when we launch in US or in other countries. Like, I've got my list ready to go.
Awesome. Thank you very much for coming on and sharing your story today, Oriane. I really appreciate it. Do you have any final words of wisdom for my audience before we hit this stop record button?
I would say stop limiting yourself. This is shit. Put it to the bin and start realizing your dream. I know it's easy to say, but just please do it. Like, the world needs people with a vision and with dreams.
Absolutely. I agree completely. Thank you very much, Oriane.